Okay, so the second part of courage in this definition that I gave, which the definition was again, um, courage is action in the midst of healthy fear plus joy. So last time we covered the healthy fear, and there's a link below this video if you missed that. Today I want to focus on joy, and this is the real trick. This is the part that I love helping others, and quite frankly, I love helping myself with this. Meaning, when I wake up in the morning and I sit down with my journal, I like to do some self-coaching. I mean, I'm trained as a coach, so I like to do some self-coaching, and most coaches I know do that too. But often when people come into a coaching call, sometimes they have this fear, and it's the irrational stuff. It's that unhealthy fear. They feel incapacitated. They feel, I can't move forward. Well, oftentimes what we try to do is we try to focus on the fear. So we try to go introspective, and there is a place for that, to discover what is it that we're afraid of. So I do believe there's a place for that, but I also believe there's a really prominent place for exploring what is it about our approach that is not joyful, that is not awakening motivation or desire in us. So I define joy as the experience of being fully alive, and then also joy is a fruit. So you're probably familiar in Galatians 5, joy is one of the fruits of the Spirit. And I would say it's a fruit of engaging desire. So when you've engaged your desire, your motivation, and you've actually lived, you've stepped out into it, you will experience the byproduct of joy. Well, here's what I'm watching happen with people. I'm watching this happen a lot. And it's actually surprising me because I think I was raised into a system that is heavily therapeutic. And again, there's a place for therapy. But what I'm finding is that instead of focusing overly or heavily on fear, what I'm doing first is I'm focusing on how much joy is going on in your situation. So for example, it's common that people show up and they're stepping out to do some adventure. So I'll give you a clear example of a guy who I was coaching with him, and he told me, Tim, I know I need to do email marketing, but I hate it. I just don't want to do it. So I took him back to his design, and I said, how are you designed to communicate with your audience? And we looked at his design language, and it became crystal clear to him. Email is not his primary form of communication because it's one-sided. This guy was designed for conversation. This guy's actually a podcaster. So he is brilliantly gifted in conversation. So he comes back the next call. He's like, Tim, I have a new method, and it's using Facebook groups, because the Facebook group allows that two-way dialogue much better than an email. And now he has groups, and in those groups, you can do the live chat, you can do the live videos now. He loves it. It's a better medium. It fits his design. Well, here's what happened. Instead of just focusing in on, I can't step forward, I have unhealthy fear weighing me down about trying to market myself. In other words, why isn't he stepping into courage? Sometimes people will go, well, it's because you need to be more disciplined. You need to try harder. Well, for him, it wasn't an issue of trying harder. It was an issue of motivation. So what happens is he has this unhealthy fear right here. That's really... So this is where his meters were. What happens is we brought his joy way up, and what happens I watch is when you bring your joy up. So for him, using Facebook was much more motivating as a medium. All of a sudden, the unhealthy fear turns into healthy fear. So yeah, he still felt the edge of the newness. Yeah, it still feels a little uncomfortable to step out, but the high joy counterbalanced the fear. And then he stepped out and he did it, and he's doing well. His Facebook group is thriving. So I think this is one of the tricks around fear is, first of all, is to explore where might I be trying to do something that's not joyful, that's demotivating me. And if I can look at what's demotivating me, perhaps the fear is there. Now, if it doesn't, it might at that point be worth exploring the fear itself. And so sometimes if I'm coaching someone and we keep hitting a block and we're working around joy and they're not making breakthrough, sometimes I will refer people to therapists because they're going to work with them more intensely in their past to see what's causing the fear to stay around. And often that's related to identity. But in general, when I'm working with joy, I'm finding that for the majority of the times, I'm able to see a lot of progress and success when people crank up the joy, when they're able to step into their design. So I hope that helps you today, and I hope you're able to take a new step of courage. It doesn't have to be huge. Sometimes courage is just a little thing, and other people might look at you and be like, that was a step of courage? For you it is, and that's what's awesome. That's a step of faith. So way to go. Keep going.